Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Sania Fatma Gilani and this is our course of Rise of the Novel 18th and 19th century. Um, as always, we are going to continue on with our discussion where we left off. Previously, we had been discussing on Joseph Andrews. This week, we are going to talk about the concept of charity, chastity, and morality in the said novel. So, today we will explore how Henry Fielding's Joseph Andrews, one of the earliest English novels, examines these three ethical themes. How charity coincides with chastity and morality in this story. At its heart, the novel is a moral comedy that uses satire and the journey of its characters to critique society's value in the 18th century. It both entertains and instructs the reader in question of real goodness far deeper than mere social reputation. We will look at each theme separately, then consider how they interrelate and what Fielding ultimately teaches about his story to his readers, about human character. For reference about the story, you can consult the previous lectures. So, first, charity, true Christian goodness. According to Fielding's worldview of charity, he presents charity not as a polite custom but as a core Christian virtue that reveals a person's true moral fiber. Joseph Andrews frequently contrasts those who profess religion with those who practice compassionate behavior. Parson Adams is the embodiment of charity. He is a key figure who consistently gives to others, often beyond his own means. His general impulse is driven by inner conviction, not self interest. He argues that charity is central to Christianity, saying, "Whoever therefore is void of charity, I make no scruple of pronouncing. He is no Christian." So, people who lack charity is something that is often overlooked as something superficial in the story. Fielding satirizes characters like Parson Trubel or the coach passengers who claim to be religious yet refuse to help Joseph when he is beaten and robbed, revealing the hypocrisy of society. Lady Booby is also a symbolism of selfish elitism. She wields power cruelly and refuses aid out of her own vanity. So, charity beyond religion. Fielding goes a step further. A charity, real charity, isn't just religious talk, it is action. In fact, lower class characters like the humble peddler demonstrate greater compassion than many self righteous clergymen. Why does it all matter? The novel suggests that charity is the truest measure of humanity. One's wealth, status, or holy words mean little without compassionate deeds to back them up. Next theme is chastity, virtue in a world of temptation. How is charity a symbol of moral integrity? Alongside charity, chastity is a key theme in Fielding's moral vision of Joseph Andrews. Chastity isn't merely about physical purity, it reflects self control, loyalty, and moral purpose. Joseph Andrews himself stands against temptations uh, from Lady Booby's side. He resists the advances despite the pressure of power and fear of losing his position, showing his moral backbone. He remains faithful to Fanny goodwill and her memory and honor, pointing to a deeper ethical pledge rather than mere personal fear of or convenience. So there's a contrast with other characters and Joseph Andrews. Lady Booby and Mrs. Slop act on their own lust, representing fickleness and moral decay. Their pursuit of Joseph underscores the contrast between uncontrolled desire and principled restraint. This contrast also critiques earlier moral tales like Pamela by showing that chastity within genuine love and mutual respect is preferable to forced virtue that was prevalent in Pamela. Next is chastity as a social satire. Fielding's treatment goes beyond simple didacticism. He uses humor to reveal that those who boast about virtue often fail to embody virtue. Joseph's steadfastness, by contrast, is both admirable and comically sincere in the story. He is a poignant example of hypocritical morality. By making him an admirable character, the hypocrisy of the society is obvious. Morality, next theme is morality. On a broader ethical vision, for Fielding, moral conduct concludes charity and chastity, but also kindness, honesty, and good feelings towards others. Morality, in his view, isn't confined to religious doctrine. It is about everyday ethical actions. Morality and human goodness go side by side. True morality flows from the heart, not from rigid rituals or superficial pity. This reflects a broader ethical humanism where sympathy and compassion are the foundations of moral life. Characters who lack genuine feelings, like the uncaring passengers or the vain clergy, expose the gap between saying and being who you are. Fielding's moral satire is simply not just about preaching. He uses satire to expose society's flaws. The humorous episodes, Joseph's stripping and being abandoned, Parson Adams' eccentric preaching, reveal a world where moral talk is easy, but moral action takes a lot of courage and is rare. Through laughter, we are invited to reflect on our own ethical lives that are interconnected throughout the story. So, how do these three themes work together? Charity, chastity, and morality are not separate lessons, they form a moral architecture of the novel. Charity teaches us compassion for others. Chastity demonstrates inner discipline and respect for others. Morality shows that ethical behavior must permeate all aspects of life. How we treat strangers, friends, and even ourselves is a reflection of our morality. Joseph Andrews and Parson Adams embody this integrated ethical vision, not as saints, but as human beings with their own flaws. They strive towards goodness, having given a brief overview of this entire concept aforementioned. I will now share with you some more instances of these themes in actions by sharing with you little snippets from this story. So, first is the concept of morality in Joseph Andrews. Henry Fielding undoubtedly holds moral views far ahead of his time. Morality is an approval or adherence to principles that govern ethical and virtuous conduct. Fielding was accused of being immoral in his novels. Dr. Johnson called his novels vicious and corrupting. Richardson echoed the charge of immorality against him. Modern critics, however, have justified Fielding and given him a credit of an estimable ethical code. Certain critics often declare that he was a moralist, deep, accurate, and scientific. Indeed, neither Joseph Andrews nor Tom Jones strike the modern sensibility as low or immoral, either in purpose or in narration. Sure, the story has its problems, but behind the truthful portrait of life lies his broad moral vision. His aim was to correct mankind by pointing out their blunders. He quoted, "I have endeavored to laugh at mankind out of their follies and vices." Fielding was basically reacting sharply against the code of ethics as incited by Samuel Richardson's Pamela. He felt that Pamela's virtue is an affectation and a commodity that was exchangeable for material benefits. Virtue cannot and should not be just chastity alone. Mere external respectability is not morality, according to the writer. For Fielding, chastity without goodness of heart is without value. A truly virtuous man is disregardful of material benefits. He is devoid of any affectation, any pretense. He finds a delight in the happiness of mankind and a concern at their misery, with a desire as much as possible to procure the former and avert the later. Fielding's moral vision is much wider than Simon Richardson's. Morality is no longer equated with chastity or outward decorum. It is broad enough to include every aspect of human behavior. One's intentions, instincts, motives are equally important in judging a man. In Joseph Andrews, we are confronted with a society that quickly changes like a chameleon. The society changes its appearance to gratify personal lusts. Fielding's aim was to show human beings camouflaged in various shades of vanity and hypocrisy, and it is done ruthlessly and wittingly in Joseph Andrews. The stagecoach scene is perhaps the best illustration of Fielding's concept of morality, in it we are confronted with a bunch of haughty passengers who are the models of hypocrisy. The coachman simply bids the situation as, "Go on, Sarah, we are confounded late." He does not care that a man is dying on the street. The lady in the coach reacts in a contemptuous manner. "Oh, Jesus, a naked man? Dear coachman, drive on." The old gentleman deems, "Let us make all the haste imaginable, or we shall be robbed too." None of the men, when they see Joseph Andrews suffering on the road, try to help him out. There is even a lawyer who wished they had not met the stranger. He wished that they had just run past by without taking any notice. Because although the man is suffering to save the poor creature's life for their own sake, what's the benefit over there? At last, the poor man who has nothing in the carriage tries to help the man, Joseph Andrews, by giving him his only coat that he had. So, a poor man had a lot more virtue than all the rich people who could benefit and who could help Joseph Andrews in his moment of plight. So, what sets the postilion, the poor man, apart is not his class, but the fact that he alone dismisses his own comfort, and he is the only person who considers Joseph Andrews a fellow creature worthy of being rescued. Fielding empathetically declares, "High people are people of fashion just." So, if fashion entails them helping someone, they will, otherwise, they do not. But they are not the higher in their dimensions, nor in their characters. The journey undertaken by Joseph and Parson Adams reveals vanity and hypocrisy at every stage of their society. It is significant that Parson Adams jumps with joy at the reunion of Fanny and Joseph as well. It is a reflection on the ability to sympathize with others' feelings. He is a simple, kind, generous, and courageous man. Adams is the epitome of true feeling and goodness of heart, which is a vital aspect of Fielding's concept of morality. Adams' impulses always prompt him to help anyone in distress. He saves Fanny's dignity 2 times. He is an innocent and completely sincere man in his beliefs and actions that he can't imagine insincerity in others. He takes everyone he meets at face value. Kindness is achieved supremely and supremely importance in Fielding's moral code when it comes to Parson Adams. He is a good and moral man who takes joy in helping others. Fielding himself says, "I don't know a better definition of virtue than it is a delight in doing good." Here are some of the textual examples further exemplifying the story. I will just discuss a few of them. "Whoever, therefore, is void of charity, I make no scruple of pronouncing that he is no Christian." These lines had been said by Parson Adams, who explicitly connects true religion with acts of charity. Fielding uses Adams as a mouthpiece to stress that outward religion is meaningless without compassion. This line highlights the core morality of the novel. Ethical actions outweigh social and religious pretense. Next lines are from the scene when Joseph Andrew was resisting Lady Booby's advances. The lines are, he resolved, come what would, never to betray the honor of Miss Andrews. So, this shows Joseph's chastity not as mere sexual avoidance but as moral integrity. Even when tempted by a powerful woman, Joseph's loyalty and ethical self discipline define his virtue. Next lines are from the scene when Parson Adam is helping some of the people in need in the story. He would often part with half his coat to relieve a poor stranger in distress. Fielding uses this to show active charity in case of Adams. Parson Adams embodies the ideal that morality is measured by how generously one treats the needy, even at personal cost. This reinforces the novel's ethical message that virtue is lived, not declared. Fourth line is, they call themselves Christian, and yet they would not stir a finger to help a fellow creature in want. This dialogue is from the scene when Joseph Andrew is struggling on the road and the people in the coach do not want to help him. Fielding criticizes those who claim religion but lack genuine morality and charity. This line is a contrast with true virtue in the case of Adams and Joseph. It contrasts virtue with hypocrisy, emphasizing that ethical behavior is tested in actions, not just words. Last lines are, good nature and honesty are the best recommendations a man can have. These lines are from the last few chapters of the book. So, here Fielding summarizes the broader idea of morality. Beyond charity and chastity, everyday kindness and honesty define a person's ethical worth. It captures the picaresque philosophy that moral goodness is practical, relational, and human. To conclude, Joseph Andrews uses humor, satire, and its picaresque journey to teach profound ethical lessons. Fielding reminds us that true morality is lived through kindness, charity, principled restraint, chastity, and heartfelt compassion, not just through reputation or religious posing. Thank you. That was all for today's lecture. I hope you understood it. And this was our last lecture on Joseph Andrews. From next week, we are going to start with our other novel. And we are going to go on towards Jane Austen. Till then, Allah Hafiz. See you guys soon.